Hi guys and welcome. Today we're going to have a bit of fun playing with our gel plate. So this is an A4 size and this is a homemade stencil that I did on my brother's scan and cut. So it's the first time I'm using it, so I thought I'd bring you along to have a play with me. So if you've got a gel plate, get it out and make some prints as we go along. Otherwise, grab yourself a cuppa, sit down, relax, and just watch the process. I'm going to start with some black paint. So with gel printing, remember your first layer is what's going to show at the front of your page. So each layer that you put on top goes towards the background. So if you've got an image that you want to be prominent on the front, then I think I might have a bit too much paint there, but we're going to use a lot of black today, so just with some markings, etc. So just roll that over so it's the actual cutout images on the stencil that I'm highlighting, and then we'll pull that off and put some more patterns over the top. So today's I'm going to be doing a lot of layering with the gel plate. If you don't have a gel plate and you've always wanted to learn, you won't regret it. They're a little bit of an outlay to begin with, and most people start with the 5x7 size. This one here is an A4 size. So I'm just taking that excess off, because you want each layer to dry in between. So you just sort of want a very light coating. Just like that. Off to the side, I have a pile of paper that I just brayer the excess off on, and sometimes you can keep those. There's some very interesting prints that happen on those that you can also do some stenciling and that over the top. So as you can see, we've got some interesting shapes on that one. With the stencil, because you've got a layer of paint on that, you can turn it over. I'm just going to turn it over, lay it down on a bit of scrap paper, and you might get a ghost print off it. I did do it fairly thin on that, so there's not a lot of paint left on it. So when this is nearly dry, you can see around the outlines where the paint is thicker. You could leave that for hours. It's not going to affect your plate because when we put layers of paint over the top, it's going to soak through and then lift it all off the plate. But if you don't want any smudges on that, then make sure that it's fairly dry before you put your next layer down. You can now just put a coloured bit of a layer of paint over the top of that, and then just pull it up and you'll have a background colour with the black shapes on there. But I want to add a little bit more texture to it, so I'm going to grab another stencil. I've just got a pile beside me, so bear with me. I want to stay in the circle theme, so I might use this one. And I'm pretty sure this one is a darkroom door stencil. I'm going to add another, I might go a green colour on that. So I've got this beautiful green pastel colour. It's fairly, well, it is brand new actually. I haven't even taken the top off it. So using a circle stencil like this, you want to be sure of the colour because it's going to be quite a prominent colour. I'll just get the black off that gel plate. I'm just going to use some butcher's paper there because I'll do some mark making on that later on. And like I said, there was a fair bit on there, so because I'm putting a light colour on here. And of course you can put it straight onto the stencil, which we will do. I'll show you how. Just with these bigger bottles, it's really hard to just get a small amount, but we'll give it a try because you really don't need much at all. Really pretty, like an ice green. Now if you didn't want the big circles of that on there, then you can put a bit of paper over the top and it will pull off anything in the what we call the negative space or the cutout sections of that, and then it will just leave those circle bits that'll have a bit of black markings under it. But I'm actually going to, I want the big circles. But what I'm going to do is I want to put a little bit of texture in that. So to do that, you can get something that'll just create little marks. I'm actually going to use bubble wrap. So once again, keeping in with the circle theme, and then you just touch it down with your fingers. You can see how it's making those circle impressions, the dot impressions. Been a while since I've had my gel plates out and I really miss it, and today I thought I'm just going to have one of those relaxation days where you just play with some paint. Got all my other jobs finished today that I wanted to do. So you can see I've just gone inside the circles, so any gaps in between I've left blank, and hopefully that'll let it pop even more. And I'm going to lift that off. So you can see we're getting some nice textures through there now because we've got those black markings as well. And I've just put that down on my roll-off sheet to get the excess off there. And I'll show you because it's all going on off to the side. A little bit. You can squirt some water and get some more, but you can see there's a bit of a ghost print happening there. And you know, we can add more layers to this page. So don't waste your paper. This is our roll-off page, but don't waste it because we can definitely get some interesting things. Even the bubble wrap's got some paint on it, so we can then put that on there as well. I'll show you there. So we've got some beautiful textures through. And you can use these sheets to rip up to collage with. All right, so getting a little bit, it's only got to be touch dry because now we're going to put another layer over the top. We've got to choose what color that we want to go with. So we've got this beautiful ice green and black. So you want something else prominent to show through, or something vibrant. You could go even something neutral with a cream. Let's have a look at the color palette. I've got this beautiful blue grey I could go with. I've got a magenta, which would look good. Actually, magenta, and I've got a Naples. We might go those two colours. You could go a brighter teal if you wanted to. Now, once again, we don't have to put it on our spare, I work with a spare gel plate off to the side, but I might, because that's still a little bit wet, so I might just put a dollop of this one. And I'm going to do it in patches, so we get a bit of a, you know, colour palette happening. I'm not just going to go, you know, the magenta up the top and the yellow down the bottom. I'm going to start with the lighter colour, because I don't really want to have to clean my brayer off. And then you can just do it in patches. And then we'll bring the magenta in. Working with a smaller gel plate off the side helps you just have those lighter colours. Sorry, lighter layers. Especially if you're doing this type of effect where you're not doing one colour over the whole. And then we let that one dry, and then we can just use white or cream or anything, which is just our last layer. That's going to help us pull the whole print. So I'm just getting a spare bit of paper to go with. Now, what I use when I'm pulling my print, it's got a bit of paint on it, is this speedball. I've seen some people also use the hamburger presses, and they've put a bit of plastic over the top, but it just helps you press down and give you an even pressure all over to make sure that you're getting the whole print to pull up. One thing with gel printing, be prepared for a mess, because painting is messy. But it's so therapeutic and relaxing as well. Still waiting for that to dry a little bit. I've got this beautiful parchment I can use, or I can just go a basic white. But because we've got these yellow hues and we've got some really thin spots throughout, I'm going to use the parchment, which is sort of like a beige or an off-white, and I'm going to put a layer all over the top. So we still want this layer to be thinnish, but not as thin as we've had before. So you can sort of see that wasn't completely dry, but that's okay. Then we're going to get our piece of paper. I really love the idea of the, I'm just going to use this big bit of cardstock over the top because it goes right to the edge. So I really love the idea of the A4 gel plate because it'll take the prints right to the edge. Prior to purchasing this one, I had the 8x10, which was great too, but you got a border around, because I work a lot with A4, and you know, you're having to go back and reprint the edges or cut them down. And if you're using them in as journal pages, which a lot of the time I do, art journal pages, then you can see I've got a little bit off the edges there. Then you'd have to make the journal smaller or hinge the pages, so it sort of defeated the purpose a bit. So you can sort of pull it. Not sure whether it's going to work, or maybe I used a bit too much paint. But we can pull 2 prints. Yeah, okay. I do like this. It's not what I was after, but I'm going to pull 2 prints. But that is gorgeous anyway. I'm going to get another bit of paper. And while that's still wet, and hopefully we'll get a good print, or the majority of it coming up off there. Just because I'm filming, I wasn't letting them dry in between, which is okay though, because I'm after some background papers anyway, and you can always go over and stencil. You can doodle on them and add different things that way, different textures. And being a new gel plate, it's going to take a few goes to get the paint lifting properly anyway. But here's our second print. Absolutely gorgeous. So you can see the green and then the yellow hues and the magenta coming through, but gorgeous. So off one lot, we've got 2 completely different patterns on that, but absolutely love both of them. Just find a place so they can dry. And then you get left with all these beautiful little texture pieces. You know, some people don't clean their gel plates at all, and you know, that paint will dry. It's not going to hurt your gel plate. So when we do another pattern, which we're going to do in a minute, those bits will lift up and give you some quite interesting textures on there. But we might go with our circle again. And let's go actually I might do a layer first. Let's go the vibrant yellow and magenta. I also like to get together with girlfriends and do this, and you know, we come up with some and it's amazing when you're using the same stencil how everybody comes up with a completely different look. Now this one, that's one of my roll-offs, so I'm going to lift that layer in the negative space. You can see you get such a great pattern that way as well. And remembering that was our scrap that was our scrap piece. Now I'm just going to do another layer over the top. I'm just going to wait for that to dry just a little bit. I might just do a fine roll over it, just to even out those couple where I put the paint on the gel plate. Now I'm not applying any pressure there, I'm just rolling it. So the bray is actually doing all the work and it's picking up all the pieces. Now I'm going to put some bubble wrap down. Now your bubble wrap lifts some paint, as you can see. Had some wet paint on that spare gel plate, so I actually like to get pull patterns off that too. So I don't know whether that's in camera shot, but you can see that the bubble wrap has lifted the yellow. So I'll put, when I do my next layer, I'll also do a layer over that one and then pull a print off that one, and you get some really interesting patterns off that as well. Just to show you. So that side gel plate, it still had a bit of black on there. So this has pulled not only the yellow hue, it's pulled the black as well. So it's gone right. So we'll get some clear spots on the gel plate. So when we put that, the next layer over the top, it will show up on that. So we'll go with our parchment again. Don't normally get my fingers involved too much there, but just had to get the excess off there. Once again, I'm not really applying any pressure because I really don't want to disturb that pattern underneath, or the layers underneath that we've worked hard to do. And then before that dries, I'll get a piece down on top. And then our side bit, one down there as well. So if you're working with a plate and you've got some hanging out the side like that, and you know, and you're just using your hands, not one of these, then you can put another sheet over the top to rub it. Now that side piece will come off on your paper, but 9 times out of 10 you're just using scraps anyway, or you can keep all them for some interesting prints as well. So if you like to use your prints to collage, then you'll get some really good prints off that. I'm just working on this little side one. We'll pull it off, and wow, look at that. So that's just using the gel print off to the side, you know, to roll the excess off your brayer. So it's picked up all the crusty bits, so a bit of black left on the plate, as you can see. Now, when I was talking before about the first colour you put down is your prominent colour that sits at the front, which is that yellow hue and the magenta. We then got the bubble wrap and took some of that paint off, creating a negative space, and then we've rolled over the parchment creamy beigey colour, and that's what you're getting pops of that through there. That's absolutely gorgeous. Okay, and you'll see that there's crusty bits all down there. You can pick up your spare sheet here if you don't want it coming onto your next print, and you should be able to pick some of it up, not always if it's dried. No, it's not going to come up because it's dry, so it'll need a wet layer over the top of that one. All right, so let's change stencils now. Okay, so let's go to this square one. Now this one is a Dilutions. I'm sorry, I don't know the name of it though. Actually, I'm going to go two ways. I'm going to put the blue down first, and then I'm going to lift a print. This is like a blue-grey. I do have my air conditioner on today too, so that would be helping dry the paint out. And the overhead fan. This is a really pretty, it's like a light denim-y colour. So I'm going to lift the parts in the negative space. When you're working with a stencil, you can use your fingers to, you know, put that bit firmer pressure on, getting inside. You can nearly see through the paper here. And I'm using, this one is 80 GSM. You can use, I think most papers are 70 to 80 GSM. I do work with cardstock as well, craft paper, got some butcher's paper, tissue paper. You can use magazine papers. You don't have to go out and buy paper specifically, although, you know, a ream of 500 sheets of A4 is only about $5 or $6 here in Australia. So you get 500 prints of A4 paper. Imagine how much art you can do with all of that, or journals that you can make. So you will see here, I'll just stop moving it, that it's pulled up the crusty bits from the plate, which makes some really interesting patterns on there. So that's a print on its own, absolutely beautiful. And you could doodle, grab a black or a white pen and doodle on that one. And then you'll see on the plate where it's left some bits of blue where the paint was a little bit wetter. I actually like that, and I'm going to leave that. If you didn't want that, you wanted it to be absolutely perfect, put another page over the top. But I actually like that smudgy faded look. I'll show you what I'm doing off to the side. So you'll remember our green texture. So I just got the stencil that we were just using that had the excess off on it, and you can see that it's just putting some really, you know, background looking grid marks. So we're really building up lots of different layers on our scrap as well. And you know, at the end of the day, if you don't like it when you've finished it, then you don't have to keep it, because it was a scrap bit anyway that you're rolling your brush off on. Okay, so now you just check to see if it's touch dry, and we want it a little bit more dry than that. So I'm going to come over here to my A5, and I'm hoping, let me push that way a little bit. I'm hoping that that's in camera shot. Then we're going to get some, you know, you can call them mark making tools. These are just, you know, makeup brushes. And then you can just put, actually it's a bit, that one's a bit dry. We might do it when it's wetter. And you can just put some marks in it. You could put some writing in it. You know, anything that you wanted to make something a little bit different. Some squiggles, some circles. You know, we've got some old roll or tape roll here that we're going to put some marks in a minute as well, just to, you know, get some, you can get stuff around the house to make some interesting textures. So I'll just move that back to center for myself. Now I've just got to choose a color that we want to use with the blue. I want to keep it still fairly light. I'm just skerricking through my blues here. Actually, no, I'm going to change it up a gear. I'm going to go raw sienna, I think. Raw sienna and unbleached titanium. So raw sienna is this color, so it's like a browny, beautiful, rusty color, and then unbleached titanium's just like a creamy beige, and it's darker than the parchment, as you can see. It's sort of more a cream. So let's go with that one. And I'm going to mix them around, so I'll have, you know, patches of each on here. And get a real mottled look. And I'm just using that makeup brush off to the side. I'm not sure whether that one's in camera shot, but when I pull the print, I will show you. This one I'm going to pull a print of this one and see how it turns out. And you never know how it turns out until you actually pull the print. We could absolutely replicate this, you know, after we've pulled this print, and guaranteed you're not going to get the same print twice in a row. Every print is unique, and really every print's its own little piece of art. You can get your prints that you've already done, and then, you know, when you put a stencil down like we did before, add some layers that way as well. over it just a bit firmer. Oh, love this. There we go. So you can see the mottled, what I did with the paints there before with the raw sienna and the unbleached titanium, how it just gives you, it's like looking through a window and you get this beautiful, see that dotting on the blue there? So that's because my gel plate's relatively new, but absolutely love it. Looks really antique. So pop that one off to the side. Love those tones. I'm going to work with that color, those colors again with a different stencil, but I'm just going to pull a print off the side here because I used the makeup tool, and hopefully it was in shot. If not, you'll see on the print I just sort of waved it through the paint. And because it had dried, so I've got a little bit off it, I'm going to pull another print. I'm going to put a layer over the top, which I think I might do the raw sienna over the top and see how that pulls off, because I'm really loving these colors together. And the thing with gel printing, I mean, you'll build up, you only have to use cheap acrylic paints. You don't have to use expensive ones. And I mean, these ones here I got, oh, they're Liquitex, but other ones I got from a $2 shop. So, you know, you pay $3 or $4 for a tube the same size as this, and you know, it will last you forever. But just start off with 4 or 5 colors. Like, you know, work out what your palette is. Start off with 4 or 5 colors, and you know, have a play around. And then as you go along, you'll buy more colors and build your paint stack up that way. Beautiful, look at that. And it looks like it's got writing, like there's sort of, you know, some scratchy bits in that. And just rolling the brayer off on top of that when I was putting some pressure down, I mean, you can add some layers to that as well. I absolutely love that. So that's the just to give you an indication, that size plate is the 5x7, so that's where a lot of people start with that size to see if they really like it, and then they go up to the, you know, the 8x10, or in my case the A4. I do have a bigger one as well, but the A4 size, which I am loving it. Today's the first time I've used it. I usually use an 8x10, and then I have, you don't waste your money on your, you know, your 5x7. You've got it off to the side to use if you want to do smaller prints, or just to use as you roll off the excess paint. Okay, so let's now work a little bit more with the sienna colors. Let's get another, oh, actually, I've just got this one. I'm just wondering what, oh, I might go, the blue flowers. So if I go me sienna and unbleached titanium down first, like I did before. So just spreading it around. No rhyme or reason, there's no set pattern. We just want a bit of a mottled background. You can do ombre as well if you like the look of ombre. Got a fair bit of paint on there. So remembering the first colour you put down is what's going to be at the front of your pattern. Okay, so that's a lot of paint on there, but anyway, we'll make it work. Now I'm going to lay the pattern down, or the stencil down of the pattern that I want. Lovely. Now I'm going to pull a print. So the print we're going to get is the actually I might use the sienna and unbleached titanium flowers. So I'm actually going to use this one to show you that prints that you've got, and even if you don't like a background, you can always do this. So this flower stencil I'm using is a Dilutions one as well. And I do tend to use this one a fair bit. I really love the pattern. And to highlight your patterns a little bit more, you know, you can go over with a white gel pen and add some doodling, or just go around the outside of it, which I may do another video of just that, just adding to your gel prints once you've you know, pulled the prints. So there you go. So we've got some you know, patterns going on in the background, and then we can go around them in a black pen or a white pen and do some doodling in them. We'll make them pop even more. Or just around the outside of it. So then we're going to pull our stencil up, rather. I mean, that would make an amazing print, just like that. So off to the side, I already had the background. I've put the wet stencil down and I've run the brayer over it. And what it's actually done is it's lifted the outline of the flowers, which I'll show you when I pull the print. This one here, I'm just letting dry. I'm going to pull this small print to show you because I don't want it to dry. So there is actually a positive to working with the two gel prints, because you can be working on one while your other one dries. And this one here, I'm going to put this blue grey over the top, so we will get that blue grey flower pattern come through with this sienna background. I've got this mat attached, it's taped to my Tim Holtz glass mat, and the mat's proving, maybe I should have the mat, because it's missing a couple of its feet, so it's got a bit slippery on the table. So there you'll see is another interesting pattern as well. So I already had the background down, and then I put the wet stamp down and run my brayer over it, wet stencil rather, run my brayer over it, and all it did was pick up all the edge to inside the negative part. So what you can do is endless, really, and a lot of it too is trial and error. You know, when you pull a print, like I said, it's sometimes you don't get what you wanted to get, but sometimes you get these absolutely little happy accidents. So this one's still wet. I'm going to put it on the 5x7 print. Just going to rub that down because it's still, and I'm going to get like a ghost print off it. Lovely. So I'm going to leave that on there. If it's not in shot, I'm going to show you. So you've got a little bit of a ghost print there, and then when I get the blue out in a minute, I'm going to run the blue over that as well, and that'll give us another very faint, interesting look. All right, so hopefully this is dry enough. I'm going to put some blue down on each gel plate. Now with your brayers, this one's like a speedball. I've got Tim Holtz ones, I've got Delusions, I've got just plain cheap ones. As long as you've got like I like working with a soft rubber brayer. So they all, to me, they all work similar. I do love this speedball one though, but they are, you know, really expensive. But I really do like it. So this is where we're going to get blue flowers showing through. And I also want to put one over on my little 5x7. It only roughly got a print coming through, but I really do like it, and I also love the back of it. But it has left a fair bit on here, so you're going to get a ghost print off that anyway. So I'm going to put, I think I might put a vibrant color behind that. A little bit more pressure, especially near the edges. Oh, love this. Absolutely love that. So very vintagey, that one. And you could just go with your plain unbleached titanium at the back as well. I might do another one in that one. I might do that one the same actually. Let's see. I'm gonna go, I might highlight the bleached titanium more on this one. Just a little bit of the raw sienna. When we pull this print, we might do a recap through of what we've done today. I mean, oh, I could stay here for hours, and I may continue to gel print after, but I am mindful too, I don't want the videos too long for you guys. And then I've made the sienna more prominent on that, the 5x7. And we're just getting our fingers in, like I said, into those negative spaces quite firmly. We want to pull up as much print as we can. Making sure we've got it all over right to the edges. Pull that off. Need to put him over on the 5x7. It's hard trying to hold it up so it doesn't go on that, but there's another print as well, just in the opposite way of what we're doing. And then this one, as you've seen, I didn't want too much raw sienna on it, so I'm going to now put the blue grey over the top, and it should be more creamer than the last one. And I'm going to go on there as well. Excuse me. So you can put any colour on this because we've lifted the negative space in the stencil. Remember, that's the colour that's going to show through. And your first colour that you put on, your background colour, it's going to be there as well. Now, I do have an online craft shop, so shazartcrafts.com.au. I'll put the link down the bottom because I actually do sell gel plates. So if you want to check out all the different sizes, you can get round ones, you can get a little 6x6. So a lot of card makers use the 6x6. You can get a little 3x5. I use that a lot too because when I put a pattern on the gel plate, I use it like a stamp. Very addictive, making patterns like this. You'll absolutely love it. Let me get that one off while it's still wet as well. So this last layer you don't want to dry because it's the wetness of it that adheres and pulls all the other layers. So you've got sort of a mottly colour there. So you could cut that up and do a collage with, say, flowers, flower petals. It can be a background to add, you know, things on top of it, ephemera, doodling. So this one, remember, we used more of the titanium, so it hasn't lifted everything, but oh, I absolutely love that. but it's got a real denim-y feel. So I'm going to put that one off just to give you an example. So I went more sienna in this background. I went more of the titanium in this one. That still had a little bit of blue already on the plate. Absolutely stunning. Okay, so let's do a recap. I will clean that off later. I like all the crusty bits that are on there. You could put like a dark blue over the top of that and it would pull up really beautiful. Some of these are still wet, so I can't pile them on top of each other, but they're the last two that we just did. And then this, just to give you an example, that one is just pulling that paint off the negative space that we did when we first put the stencil down. The same as what we did with that one, and it's pulled up some crusty bits off the plate, which I absolutely love. And here it is, once we'd pulled that print off, we then put the sienna and the cream over the top of that and then pulled that. Absolutely love how that's turned out. This one here was a few layers. We put our black down first and then pulled the negative prints off the stencil, and then we just kept layering it with the stencil at the beginning. This here was our first print off that one that pulled up some of the black and some of the background, so the plate was a little bit wet with that, but I absolutely love that. So don't be afraid if you've put too much paint on, just pull an initial print off and then you'll get the other one. That was the second print. So normally you get a vibrant print like that and then you get a ghosty print, but it's amazing how different it works out. That one we just pulled the negative off a page that we were already rolling our brayer off and cleaning our stencils on. This one here the same, using the 5x7. So that one there we just put a stencil the same color over the same color and just rolled the brayer over the top of the stencil, and it's pulled up all the outline of the stencil. Same with this one here. We've rolled our brayer off on the little 5x7 and then we've put the colour over the top of the stencil. This one we've done in reverse, but you could get a doodle pen now or a gel pen and go through and highlight all those if you want to. I actually like that the way it is, because now we can stencil some more layers on top of that and add to it, and then create something with that as well, or tear it up and use it in collage. And this one here, when we use the bubble wrap, remember it's pulled up a lot of the crusty bits on my 5x7, and then that color there, which is the I think it was the parchment, it's come through in the stuff that we've pulled off the plate. So because that was the last layer, but because we'd pulled paint already off the plate, being all this other color, that's how it's come through. But absolutely love that as well. This one here was just a roll-off sheet where I love all these colors, and then when the bubble wrap was still wet, we actually pressed it down. So I'll cut all this white off, and that's a beautiful piece to use in an art journal, even your junk journals. It's nice soft colors that you can add things to it. You can do some more stenciling over it, put some butterflies in it, etc. But thanks guys. Actually, we've got two more. I don't know. But thanks guys, I hope you got something out of that today. I've certainly really enjoyed myself. Like I said, I think I'll continue on when I make some space, because I've got wet pages lying around everywhere. But yeah, really enjoy the process. And if you don't already have a gel plate, get yourself one. You won't regret it. It'll take you a few goes to start with, but remember, we're just using bits of paper that's really inexpensive. You might have, I've done them in, your paper bags that you get now with Coles and Woolworths, the supermarkets. I've opened them up and practiced on them and got some really great results out of it as well. But listen, have a go. Thanks for spending some time with me today. I really look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thanks guys, bye.